Well, tonight's the night I'm going to set alight some of these branches and bits of wood. We need to wait to the evening in this area before we have a bonfire. But I'm going to get all this foliage matter and make a mound of it. And a lot of that is the tomato foliage, which has the blight, and I'm anxious to get that burnt. I need to move this bin, this rotary compost bin, out of the way. And I'm going to salvage that another day for growing carrots. And this is the space I'm going to burn most of this material. So I get my wheelbarrow out of the way, start getting a mound of that foliage together, and then feed over some of the wood to get myself a decent fire. And then I'll get it going and try and work through the bulk of this. Wish me luck. So that's the dome built around all that green foliage, and I'm going to use this weed flamethrower to get this fire going. These are a fantastic tool for lighting bonfires. So the idea is get this underway, gradually add this dry wood to it, work my way through the prunings from the apple trees and the prunings from the fruit bushes from last year, and hopefully over time I'll get through all of this. Well, it's the next morning after the big bonfire, and I'm hopeful that it's looking relatively clear. Let's have a look. Well, it's still smouldering, but there's never in any risk of spreading. This area's mainly soil and very damp. And we've got a nice clear run now, and you can see the build-up of the various bits of soil and foliage and everything that I've been putting down has left me with a far more raised area. You get a good idea of the difference from down here, where it's that much lower. I can spread all that down and into this area. The fire's still smouldering, but it's not a problem, and we've still got some material that I need to get rid of. But all this potash, as it is, will come in handy. I'll store that and probably put it on the fruit bushes in due course, because they do like a bit of potash. I kept these old doors from the shed just to protect the bins from the heat of the fire, but to be honest, I don't think the heat travelled that far, and I'm going to use these as a barrier, I think, for one of the chicken runs, just to keep the wind off during the winter. So that was a good job done, and there's still quite a bit more to do, but I'm pleased to have got it done. Well, a bit later on today, I'm going to take the last of these peppers out. We've had some warm weather in the last couple of days, but they're at the end of their natural life now, and there's a good crop on there, so we'll be eating some and freezing some more. What I did notice last night was this mint, which the cold weather has just been too much for it, and the leaves have all just turned brown, and that's it, it's done. and it still smells a little bit minty, but really gone in a couple of days. Very, very interesting. And these beefsteak tomatoes, this is Dixie, has suddenly gone that golden yellow, which is lovely. We'll be eating those or making pasta sauce out of them. And these few tomatoes that I stripped back, we've got a good 4 or 5 there that have ripened, and we'll be taking those as well. So the Polytunnel really coming to the end of its season in terms of summer crops, and we'll think as to whether we want any winter crops in here, which is probably a good idea. We'll see how we go. We do want a cucumber out of here, so I'm going to take this little fella. There we go, that'll keep us for a couple of days, and there's a few more in there as well. So Polytunnel, just a few more things to do. Well, I didn't think I'd get to this job until later on in the autumn, but I seem to have a bit of momentum now. Anyway, it is mid-autumn, so the compost is well on its way. I've got rid of all this material with the bonfire. A little bit here that I need to move and rearrange, and then I'm going to work my way across and flatten out this area. I need to do this while it's dry, because once it gets damp down here, it would be a mud bath. So the idea is clear this, level off, and bring the excess into this lower area. And then I'm thinking that the wormeries will go back up onto that plinth, and I'll bring the pots out of there, and then they can sit there for the winter period. I'll probably cover them. So no further ado, let's get leveling. Well, it's hard to even remember what this space was like. I've been moving soil from around the plot, various jobs that I've done for about 2 years now, and bringing it down to this level because it was a huge pool of water that used to gather here. And what I've been hoping is that this additional level of soil will mean that it runs off and down the slope and down the hill, down the valley. So we'll see, but I'm pretty pleased with how we're looking now. It's not finished by any means, but we've got a level that's reasonable in front of these bins, and it's still sloping away, and as you can see there's a distinct difference once you get into the compost area. But that's where the material is going to go, from alongside the vegetable beds that I'm going to move, and who knows, maybe where the pond's going to go in. So that area is next on my agenda. I'm going to let this now settle for a while so that I can see the lumps and bumps and try and get it reasonably level. I guess unless I cover it with a membrane, I'm just going to be mowing it, and that's not really my objective. So I think if it works during the winter, I may well get some of that weed membrane to come further across. We'll see. But that's enough physical for today. The next thing on my agenda is tea, which is taking in those last peppers and seeing what crop I get off of them in the final throes of the season. And I'm looking forward to that. See you in the Polytunnel. Well, I'm on my way to the Polytunnel. But before I get there, I wanted to show you the flower bed. Now, I'm a very keen photographer, and one of the concepts of photography is called pre-visualization. Trying to foresee what something would look like before you press a shutter. And I think that instinct came in when I was kindly offered these large pieces of wood. Let me show you. So when this lady kindly gave me these large chunks of wood, I was thinking of a beachside scene, and I think they look like the groins in the sand, and I automatically thought they'd look really nice in this flower bed. Of course, the one big concern was that Mrs. K didn't like it, as it's really her flower bed. So I put them in place and asked her to come along and have a look. Fingers crossed, and she loved it. So that's really good news, and it's given this area a new look for a while. And we've just got to get these sweet peas out now, and they're ready. The seeds are in these pods and they're drying out, and I think it's time for us to get them out. So over the next week or so, I think those will be removed and the flower bed will be seen in all its late season glory. Good times. Well, this will be the second and last serious harvesting from these peppers. They really are looking droopy and past their best now. So we're going to take all the peppers off, put them in a container, and then I may be able to save some compost from these. They're certainly not diseased, so I'm thinking that the soil will be okay to put into my regeneration process. But we'll be having a final clear up of this space afterwards, and it'd be good to get clear and see and think clearly about the next steps. So, no further ado, we'll harvest the peppers. Well, it looks so different in here once you clear that shelf off, and that pepper harvest, just tremendous. This has been the best pepper season I've had by a long shot, and we'll have a few of those for tea, and the rest will be frozen because they freeze so well for use during the rest of the winter. And that about wraps it up for today. It's been a good day, nice and sunny, and plenty of things done on the plot. Looking forward to the next one. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.